All right, welcome back. It's another bully ball video. This might be something we do maybe monthly. We did the season preview. I am Jake. I'm joined by Jason. We are going to talk Detroit Tigers baseball. Uh, and Jason is our foremost Tigers Twitter ball knower. I have to ask, has your last month
Humbly.
gone as well as the Tigers has?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. I graduated college, so I'd
There you
say
go.
that's pretty solid. But yeah, man, it's funny. It's like been fun to watch, but it's also been frustrating, like almost equally as frustrating as last year, but I'm trying to stay positive and not be too negative about things.
Yeah, it's easier for me to stay positive than it has been because like for the first 3 years under AJ Hinch, the season was over by the end of April.
Yeah, right.
Uh,
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to keep in focus.
yeah, and
I mean, we're in it still.
right now they've ended April. As of the recording of this, they haven't played Game One against the Yankees yet, as this is being recorded. But they are in a playoff spot in the American League, which the
Yeah.
AL Central has like three playoff teams and the next closest team.
Yeah. Sneaky, awesome division.
Yeah, we'll see how much that holds up. But keeping our focus on the Tigers, um, like you said, it's been frustrating, but also they're 18 and 13, which even like I think there were a lot of people that were maybe rightfully optimistic about the Tigers, but I don't think if you told them that the combination of things that are happening simultaneously, like, oh, Riley Green's going to break out, Torkelson's going to struggle,
Mhm.
Colt Keith isn't going to hit at all, Parker Meadows isn't going to hit, but also they're 18 and 13, they have maybe the best pitching staff in the
Yeah.
entire league. Nobody
Yeah.
would believe that those combination of things would happen. Like, you would think, well, if the Tigers are going to be
Yeah.
good, Torkelson's going to need to be lighting the world on fire. He hasn't,
Mhm.
and it hasn't mattered yet.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is like this kind of not to say like we predicted anything because we were pretty much agreeing with the general narrative, but like everyone was on the same page and saying like our pitching staff's going to be great, our offense is still going to be a struggle, and that's pretty much what's happened. It's just our pitching staff has been incredible, and our offense has come through when they've needed to late in games to just pull across a run or two when it matters. And so that's why it's been so frustrating because like our heart has been pounding through all these games, waiting till the seventh or eighth inning for them to push some runs across. But yeah, man, they're winning games and staying in the playoff spot. So
Yeah, the offense on the whole has not been good. That's nobody's gonna sit here and argue like, oh, the Tigers have a great offense. But
yeah,
when you compare it to 2022 and 2023, where they were bottom of the league in runs scored, I think
yeah,
bottom three in both of those seasons. Right now, they're just barely below league average in runs per game. I think the league average is
mhm,
4.3 runs a game. They're at 4.1. So it is
yeah,
close. Like they're not a good offense, but they're not the worst offense, which unfortunately is a step up from where they have been. And you
yeah.
figure,
And I mhm.
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and that's kind of what we hinted at in the preseason preview. We were just saying, like, if this team is gonna get off to a hot start, again, it's gonna be because of the pitching, but we think our offense can be like at least top 20. Like, we don't think they're gonna be top 12 or anything, but if they can just be slightly below average, like, gonna make a difference, and it has. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
and there's arguments on both sides where you think like, oh, it could get better or should, when you figure that they haven't Spencer Torkelson and Colt Keith, neither of them have hit a home run yet. I think there's 12 qualified players in MLB that haven't hit a home run yet, and the Tigers are the only team with two of them. Um,
how
and
many
then
expected home runs between the two of them, though? That's the craziest
I don't
part.
know. I think Torkelson might still lead in doubles. I think he's got like nine doubles
Yeah,
already. Um, a couple of them are bloops, but we take those.
yeah,
Keith has been statistically one of the least lucky hitters in baseball. But then you look at the other side of the coin where it's like, well, the offense might get better when those guys wake up. Is Mark Canna gonna maintain a 950 OPS for a full
yeah,
season? Uh,
Right.
Probably not. Riley Green might. I'm not. I'm not gonna lie to you. What Riley Green's doing might be super sustainable. He walks at like a 20% clip, and
Hmm.
Kerry Carpenter's cooled off a little. He's still got like a high sevens OPS, but Matt Vierling
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
might be a guy with the bat.
Narrative is on fire right now. We
Yeah,
are having a great time over on the Veerling hype train.
yeah, because the thing with Matt Vierling has always been like, oh, sorry, before I get into that, Wenzel Perez not going to maintain a 1 OPS. I just want to say that right now.
Yeah,
But it's
unfortunately.
fun while it lasts.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, he's the man. But what I was going to say about Vierling is like these are the type of players that if we can get something more out of them than we got last year, the Tigers' offense can take that step from being like abhorrent to like, like
Yeah.
they could score 6 runs, and 6 runs is kind of all this pitching staff really needs most nights.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's kind of what I was gonna hint at too, was just the biggest difference to me between this year and last year is we actually have like a somewhat formidable top five now on any given day. Between Green, Canna, Carey, Vierling, and now Wenzel for this limited time, like that's five hitters that are gonna give you like slightly or very much so hot, like above league average OPSs. And then what's crazy is then our bottom three or four just completely tank the back end of our lineup with just like brutal OPSs. But um, it feels like in the past we've only had like two guys that have been hot at any one time, and so
Yeah,
this is a big difference now that we have like some guys that are actually moving the lineup down. Like even Ibanez and Urshela, just being like about league average, like that helps so much.
and Ibanez against lefties is well above league average. He's like
Oh yeah,
an objectively
exactly.
great hitter against left-handed pitching.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so I think this team is starting to. This is kind of a Scott Harris thing where like, well, at least it was a Giants thing when Scott Harris was there. Very defined
mm,
roles for guys, and like it's you're not hoping to get like. I know people are annoyed when they do it with Kerry Carpenter, but with these platoons, like you're not hoping, oh, maybe this guy can figure it out against lefties. It's like, no, I know this what this guy does. He hits lefties, so he's
yeah,
going to be in the lineup against lefties. That's where they're inching towards. I don't always love how often they like take a guy like Carey out of the lineup when he's hot just because they're
mm,
facing a lefty. Or I think they did it with Javi when he had that hot stretch of a couple games against Tampa and Minnesota. Um, but it's hard to argue right now when they're
yeah.
finding runs out of a lineup that has like 3 or 4 guys with 400 OPSs.
Yeah, and I think on the scale of like supporting that like style of managerial baseball, I think I'm further on supporting than you are. I do like to play the numbers like that. But I really just think it comes down to like the quality of at bats those guys have when they do have opportunities against the other side. And I mean, you know, it nothing against Carey, but like when you see him against lefties, it's rough a lot of the time, and that goes for a lot of the other lefties on our team. Like as a lefty hitter myself, like lefty versus lefty is a hard thing to do. And yeah, it's definitely hard when you have limited opportunities, but I just don't think, especially right now, is a time to just let them get all these reps when you have a guy like Andy Ibanez, you have guys that can hit lefties on your bench. Like do I support Hinch being aggressive with those platoons decisions
I agree. I would say that this is maybe the deepest Tigers team
for
since
sure.
I've been a fan. Maybe I mean like those the 2011, 2012, 2013 teams, much better high
They
end
weren't deep.
talent, much better high end talent.
Yeah,
One guy gets injured, that you're getting a whole
right.
lot of
Like
Tyler
the bench
Collins
was
at bats.
nothing.
Yeah,
Right.
you're getting a
Yeah.
lot of Tyler
So
Collins. You got a hot month out of Matt Tuiasosopo, but like it
yeah.
was it wasn't what I would describe as deep. Whereas this team, like Buddy Kennedy's in AAA right now, and he was
Right.
killing the ball in the majors for the week that he was up.
Qual quality AB after quality AB. Like I was so impressed with Buddy Kennedy. Just every at bat was 3-2. He was fouling off balls, and that's I mean this is kind of deviating from what we were planning on talking about. But one thing that I have noticed is that this roster just desperately needs more guys that can fight off a two strike count. I mean, you have Canna, and I guess I don't know. I'm not even gonna say Riley can do it that well. Like he strikes out a lot too, but I think Wentzeel does it pretty well. Um, and the funny thing is, I think Torkelson does it well when he's right, but he's just not been right at all. So he's striking out way more than he should. But
Yeah.
I just think there's way too many guys that are just whiffing every two strike count and just not even giving us a foul ball. And I think that's definitely an area that we could improve. And Buddy Kennedy was a great example of like how effective that can be.
What did he have, like 13 plate appearances, and they were all just like great.
Yeah. Yeah, like one pop out, but like other than that, he was just
Yeah,
like line
scorching the
drive after
ball.
line drive, walk. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was fantastic to watch.
So I guess I mean, it would be ridiculous for us to not talk about Winsel Perez. I think when I said that he won't maintain a 1 OPS, he's just not that kind of hitter. But
Yeah,
like, would I be shocked if he ended up with like an above 8 OPS, depending on how much he plays for the rest of the year? I really wouldn't, because he is always kind of has been a contact machine,
yeah,
and
he's a hitter.
the contact quality has always been really good. The bat was not like
Yeah,
he is, or in the last 2 years he has become kind of a real prospect, and it's certainly not because of his
mm.
glove. It's the bat and that he can run a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
hmm
so he always had a chance to carve out a niche for himself as like a major league player if he
yeah.
was going to make a lot of contact and high quality contact, which so far obviously he has. 3 home runs.
Well,
What the hell?
we'll
He's not a
take that.
power
We'll
guy.
take that. Well, okay. So here's my deal on Seal. Even if he doesn't keep up even an 800, because I mean that is that would be remarkable if he did do that. I would be over the moon if he did that. But even if he was like kind of a Veerling level, just like mid to high 700s, I would take that because we need more of these guys that are just going to keep the lineup moving, put the ball in play. Like Urshela has been a godsend because he just puts the ball in play. How many times has that come up clutch where there's like a changeup low and away or something, and he just pokes it? Like Wenseal's done the same thing a few times, and that is so important to I think the end of good teams lineups because you're not going to have nine great hitters, but if you can have like a handful of really good hitters and then end your lineup with guys that can poke it when they need to, I just think that is a recipe for success.
He can also play a couple different positions, none of them particularly well, but you
Mm,
can put him out there, and then he hits both sides of the plate, or both
yeah.
handedness. Like he hits lefties and righties both. So
Mm,
you can play him. He's not really matchup dependent. So he at worst he's like a really valuable bench piece, which
yeah.
is something that we can say the Tigers haven't had for quite a while. Uh,
Yeah. Well, I mean, now you look at our bench and it's odd. Like when Urshela comes back, you have Urshela, Ibanez. I guess we'll see if Wenzel stays up when Urshela comes back. But and then who would our other bench be? Like Bierling, I guess, in theory.
so
But that's
that's
a really
Urshela coming back is something I kind of wanted to talk about because what's the roster move when Urshela
yeah.
comes back? You can't send Wenzel back.
Mhm.
Parker Meadows
I'm
is
on the
still your
band.
best center fielder by far.
He is, but I would not be mad if they sent Parker down. I would be fine if they didn't either, because center field defense is so important. So if there's an argument for that, then I'm all for it. But if Wenzel keeps hitting, dude, maybe you just send Parker down for a bit, kind of play Vierling and Perez in center, see how that goes. Maybe that's not sustainable defensively, but I don't know, man. We got to get Parker right because I've said this before. He's not this bad of a hitter. Like I believe in him. He just needs to figure it out, and I don't
Would
know if he's gonna figure it out up here.
would they send Keith down? Which I would not like because like the underlying numbers obviously he's not they don't say he should have like a 800 OPS. But he should not be this bad. He is making
No,
solid contact. His at bat quality varies from pitcher to pitcher, but it's
yeah,
generally like he's got like a pretty big league approach. He's
He doesn't strike
capable.
out.
Right, he's capable of making good contact. He rolls over a lot, but that's rookie stuff.
Hmm.
Plays a great second base, which didn't see that one coming. I think he
Yeah.
grades out. He's made some errors over the past couple weeks, but I think he still grades out pretty well. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's best to just let him grind it out, to be honest, because I can't
Yeah.
imagine
I
that his
agree.
numbers stay this bad. Uh, One thing I don't think they would do, and actually I give this like a 0% chance of happening, sending Torque
Send Torque down.
to Toledo, playing Mark Canna at first base for a while. You, it's not like you're sending Torque down
Dude,
there to rot. Like he's gonna come back up,
in a
but he
vacuum,
needs to
I
get right.
that's not a bad idea.
It's between the ears with him right now.
Yeah.
He's watching too many first pitches. They're just firing them in the zone. He takes every fastball in the outer half. I think it was in at bat against the Cardinals. He swung at the first pitch. It was a fastball outer half, and he hit it like 110 miles per hour to right field for a single.
Right up,
He could
yeah.
do that every at bat right now.
I know. His approach has been so frustrating because there's no rhyme or reason to it. Like you're
Yeah.
that's kind of how I've been watching baseball the past few years is like I because I watch every game now. So it's like I'm really just keeping track of these dudes' approaches and seeing like how consistent it is. And this is like from Torque, this is bad, dude. There is no consistency from plate appearance to plate appearance. He's taking a fastball down the middle and then swinging low and away at a slider like on a 0-1 count. Like he doesn't do that normally.
No.
Even when he's bad, he doesn't chase like just breaking balls down and away. Like what are you doing, Torque? And
This is the worst his at bats
it's
have
it's
been since he got to the big leagues.
oh yeah, for sure. It's not even close.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not hitting anything hard and he's chasing. Yeah, it's all between the ears. I would be in favor of sending him down. It's such a bad look, but I would send him down before I would send Keith down.
I would too. I mean, at least with Keith, there's underlying numbers that say like, "Oh, this should be
Yeah,
better." With Torkelson, that's not
right.
there right now. He's popping everything up.
Yeah,
He's either popping everything up or hitting everything on the ground. And this is a team, the Tigers, that are second lowest in ground ball rate in the entire major leagues, with Keith and
yeah.
Torque rolling over everything. It's the Dodgers are
I
lowest.
couldn't believe that.
Yeah, the Dodgers are
Yeah,
lowest, and the Tigers are second lowest in ground ball rate. And then in line drive rate, the
yeah.
Dodgers are number one. And I think the Tigers got jumped by Cleveland after yesterday, but it's Dodgers, Cleveland, Tigers are the top
Yeah.
three in line drive
I
rate.
could believe the line drive. I could believe the line us being that high in line drive rate, but when you said second in ground ball rate, I was or second lowest in ground ball rate, I was like, are you like,
The team
how
ground
is
ball
that
rate's
even
like
possible?
34%, I think.
Yeah,
It's like
that's
it's
absurd.
super low,
Yeah.
which you wouldn't think if you
But so
watched
here's
some of these guys.
right, right, yeah. So here's a little like game, I guess. Who would you like? I'm trying to decide if I want to do this in a vacuum or like realistic. Let's do it in a vacuum. Who would you send down first, like the order? Torkelson, Keith, Parker Meadows, and Wenzel.
Wenzel's
Like
last.
so, I guess really
I You can't send down a guy with
you
a
would
one
send
dot
out
OPS.
Keith. Yeah, you would send out Keith before Wenzel.
Yeah, I mean you can't like what message is that sending the team
Yeah,
that you can
no,
come
I
up
hear you.
and have a one dot OPS over an extended sample and we
Yeah,
can still send
that
you
is
back
so
to
tough.
Toledo. That's garbage.
Yeah,
You can't do that for the
yeah, I
clubhouse.
agree.
Like I don't think anyone would like that
Yeah,
move.
yeah,
I think it's Torkelson first for me, then Meadows, then Keith. Meadows, if he didn't have the glove that he has, where he's still like, despite his offensive numbers, he's still like pretty positive in WAR because his center field defense is so good.
mm,
Um,
yeah,
I think Keith just has to work through it. Like he's got to hitting,
yeah,
getting hot against AAA pitching is one thing. He's not facing AAA pitching every day. We need
yeah.
him.
Well,
Go
and
ahead.
the other thing too is that he doesn't seem lost. He seems frustrated. And
Yeah.
that's fine cuz like you said, he's one of the most unlucky hitters in baseball. Like he is hitting and barreling the ball up. But then it gets caught or he lines it right at someone or Yandy Diaz has 3 picks in the series against line
Dude,
drives right like it's frustrating and that's okay. It is frustrating, but what the difference between him and Torque is that Torque's letting it get between his ears, and that's when you start making bad swing decisions, and that's when you start popping up 30% of the time. And
And Torque's
yeah,
defense at
I
first is
agree,
bad
man.
too.
Yeah, it's not good.
Usually you
So
take the bad first base defense because he's going to hit 40 bombs, but if that's
yeah,
not happening, I'd rather have Cano over there.
yeah. So I would definitely. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I would have no problem with them sending Torque and Meadows down and just sending a message. But I don't know. Would I send down Torque before Parker? I'm definitely just very okay with sending down Parker because I just think AAA would be good for him. But yeah, dude, the only argument against not sending Torque down is that it's a pedigree thing.
Well, if you were to, and again, I think there's a 0% chance this happens, but if they were to
Yeah.
send both of them to Toledo, you're getting Urshela off the DL or off the IL, and I don't know if you've seen Akil Badu's numbers in Toledo. He
I'm not
is
falling for it.
he
I
is
am not falling for it.
scorching the ball. He is murdering the ball in Toledo, like better
I'm
than
not
he's no
falling for
better than he's ever done on any of his minor league stints before. He
it.
is like he's almost earned a
I
call up,
love.
but it's like where do you put him in this outfield?
Yeah.
Where does he go?
Exactly. I love Akil Badu. I
Who are
love Akil
who are we
Badu,
benching
but
out of the outfield except maybe Parker? But
well, and that's the thing. You could if you send Torque down, you move Canna to first base, and then boom, that pretty much opens the spot for him in the outfield. If you have Canna playing first every day.
yeah, and then you can DH carry, put Riley in left,
Yeah.
Badu in right, Wenzel in center. Which I
And just
don't like Wenzel Perez in center, but I mean if he's gonna hit like he's hitting,
I I haven't seen like Wenzel is no Parker, obviously, and he did like biff that one play in right early on, but I don't think he's been terrible. He made a really nice play last game.
he's
Going
athletic
towards the
enough.
mound.
He's plenty
Yeah,
athletic enough.
so
He's got no
I'd be
arm
fine
and
giving him
just
a
not a
shot.
great feel, but
Dude, his arm is horrible.
he had a bad arm at
I
second
couldn't even
base.
believe it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought he was joking on a couple of his throws into the infield. I was like, oh,
No, he's got no arm.
oh, he's like alligator arming that.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
That's been like a recurring minor league issue. That's one of the things that has kept him from getting called up early is that like they had to move him from the infield because he couldn't make throws from second. So
yeah. Well, and that's the thing about Justin Henry Malloy too is like, where on earth does that dude fit?
he
Does
might
he
want to
fit
get
anywhere?
he might want to get a first base glove.
Well, I'm just surprised we haven't traded him yet. Because there's no way we're not going to trade him.
Well, he's
There's
still
no way.
walking
I
at
don't
a
believe it.
20% rate. I mean, we're getting off
Yeah.
topic talking about AAA. He's still walking at like an absurd rate, and he's tearing the leather off the ball in Toledo right now too.
Yeah.
So
Maybe they see him as just like the eventual Canna replacement, if maybe, but we'll
yeah,
see.
I don't know, but to keep us on track, focusing about the major league team,
Yeah, yeah,
I think the pieces that they do have up, like Keith should get better. They're going to Yankee Stadium. If there's ever a time for him to get a home run out of the way, it's Yankee Stadium. Just park one over the short porch, please. But then you think about like Vierling with a 760 OPS, whatever he has right now. Carpenter cooled off. Riley Green and Canna both have OPSs in the nines. Javi, like, inoffensive this year. The defense is great, and he hit for a week. I'll take that right now.
Yeah.
It's just a couple pieces that they need to get. Like, they don't need... Okay, the expectations have obviously lowered, because I was about to say they don't need Spencer Torkelson to be, like, an all-star first baseman. It'd be great. I'd really like him to. It's in there.
Yeah, right.
But if he's not going
think-
to, how about, like, a 770 OPS? Can we do that, at least?
Yeah.
If you're in the six
Right.
hole?
I think, like I was saying earlier, our top five is just fine. Like, our top five with this pitching it will get us close to the playoffs, if not the playoffs. The difference between us making the playoffs and us just missing out is the floor of the bottom of our lineup. Are they going to continue to give us 400 OPSs, or are some of them going to give us like 600? 600 is still not good, but that makes such a big difference.
Better than
if they're not
400.
Total zero. Right.
And Jake Rogers
So,
is
we'll
heating up
see.
right now, so...
Yes, and that is and will make a huge difference if he becomes the Jake Rogers that we are accustomed to.
Even just the guy that hit 20
So
bombs last year is cool with
yeah,
me. Especially he
yeah,
grades out so high defensively.
yeah.
Which brings us to the pitching staff. The reason this team is 18 and 13, I want to point out
Yep.
in CSW percentage, that's called strikes and whiffs, percentage of your pitches that are not fouled off, they're called strikes or they miss the bat. Number one in baseball is Jack Flaherty. Number two is Tarek Skubal. Uh,
Unreal.
and I bet if they extended that out to relievers, because I think it had like a minimum innings, I guarantee you Alex Lang is very high
Yeah,
on that. He's
for
like
sure.
number one in whiff rate in baseball again.
Yeah,
0.75 ERA. He walks too many people to be a closer. It doesn't matter. Put him in the seventh in a high leverage. He'll get you a strikeout. Jason Foley
yeah.
makes a
I
strong
know.
case as the best reliever in baseball. I have very minimal
Chafin's
complaints.
been great.
Kenta Maeda's last two starts were great.
Yeah, yeah.
My complaints
And
are non-existent.
back on Lang, he's 98th percentile in whiff, so he would definitely be up there too.
Yeah, Matt
I'm
Manning.
curious to see what
Every time they get
Chafin's.
Manning in the game, he's insane.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, right. It's incredible what they're doing.
they have
And
too many good pitchers
yeah.
right now. That's like the problem with the pitching staff is too many of them are good.
Well, okay, how about this? Chafin, 93rd percentile whiff percentage and 99th percentile chase.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Like
It's
what?
I don't want to compare them to a team that I despise as much as I hate, like the 2014-2015 Royals. However, when those Royals teams got a lead, the game was over.
Dude,
You were not hitting Wade
hopeless.
Davis.
Hopefully.
You were not hitting Greg
Alvin
Holland.
Herrera.
Yeah, you weren't hitting these guys. That's
Yeah.
almost what it feels like. With I mean, they gave one away. They should have swept the Cardinals. Shelby Miller had one tough
Oh
outing,
my
but
God.
really the offense was let down there. But
Yeah.
when these Tigers teams score like 5 runs, it's over. The game
Yeah.
ends.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything
It's
like this as a
yeah.
Tigers fan, where it's just like maybe like '06 with Zumaya, Fernando Rodney, Todd Jones.
hmm
But
Yeah.
this isn't like, oh, your setup guys and your closer are good. This is Joey Wentz is throwing darts right now. He looks ridiculous. Tyler
Yeah.
Holton, other than the one
Well,
bad outing, looks ridiculous. Like
yeah. Wentz is awesome because he's exactly what we were talking. Like, if he figures out that fastball, he's going to be just fine. And he has. His fastball's worth positive two run value on Savant. So his changeup is one of the best changeups in the league.
yeah,
So the fact, come on, man, like that's why we didn't DFA him for
Alex
all you
Faedo
Wentz
too.
haters.
Faedo, I mean, he had like
Right.
maybe like a tough outing here or there. That Pete Alonso home run was not his.
Mhm.
Who homers on that pitch?
That was an
But
incredible pitch. It was a great pitch.
who homers on a pitch that
It
was
haunts
a
me to this
foot off
day.
the ground?
Haunts me to this day, dude.
Yeah,
That sparked their entire hot streak too. That's
it did.
crazy
I mean,
about it.
shout out to Pete Alonso, maybe the Tigers' first baseman
Yeah,
next year.
future Tiger for hey.
Possibly. He's hitting free agency.
Let's see.
What I was gonna
Yeah.
say about the bullpen is like, okay, Will Vest has probably been their worst performer. He's had a couple tough outings. One guy, like we used to have to worry
Yeah.
about 6 guys being bad in the bullpen.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, don't
Yeah.
use Will Vest in the 7th, and they don't have to. They have Shelby Miller, they have Chafin, oh, it's so
Well, and what's
nice
crazy
to
is
feel
that
comfortable with a lead.
yeah. Well, knock on wood, they have been really healthy in the bullpen too, because we still have Brisky down in AAA. So
Yeah, I think
I
he's having a
fully
tough
expect
time. But
Brisky to be. I think he's
he
been
might have got better. He
relatively
might have got
fine,
better.
actually. Yeah.
His first couple
Yeah.
outings weren't great.
I think
But
I think the last time I looked, he was a sub 2 ERA.
do they
So,
still have Brendan White? Like that guy was really good, I thought,
well,
last year.
he they put him on the developmental squad
Okay.
because he was just getting rocked in AAA. I don't think he had any command,
He was
which
pretty,
sucks because
I liked him in the majors
he was
last year.
definitely like a legit. Yeah, he was a legit bullpen prospect last year. But yeah, after a rough start, Brisky with a 1.65 ERA in AAA.
Yeah, I mean, we have Brisky,
So
we have Mason
I mean,
Englert
you
as an
got him down there
option.
too.
If Freddie Pacheco's
And
elbow ever
Englert
heals,
can strike in, Englert's been striking out everyone in AAA too,
Yeah.
which is kind of surprising to me, honestly. But there's
Freddie
another one.
Pacheco hasn't pitched in like 2 years, but when the Tigers waiver claimed him, I really got excited about him. He's got a pretty dynamic arm, but
He's a live arm.
at this point, maybe a lost cause. But if he comes back,
Yeah.
that's another guy. Like it's just like
Yeah.
if I could make Chris Fetter, Gabe Rebus, Juan Nieves, and Robin Lund all president, I would. Uh, they have turned the Tigers into an actual pitching lab. Like Spencer Turnbull has like a 1.2 ERA for the Phillies, and I don't care. I literally
it's like,
don't care.
Good for him, man. I'm glad your neck feels okay.
Yeah, there's nothing I care less about now than a pitcher going somewhere else and being good, because it's like, well, our pitchers are good. I don't care.
Yeah, and that's to be expected. Like, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Like, this is why you're good, because you came to our lab.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's and I think like we saw it with Lorenzen. We saw Flaherty cite Lorenzen's turnaround as like a reason he signed with the Tigers. I think a lot more like reclamation quote unquote pitchers will see results like this and want to come to the Tigers. Like I think we're gonna get a lot more live arms in free agency. If they choose that route, you can go Skubal, Mize, Manning, Olsen with players in-house next year. Like, I don't know.
Sawyer Gibson-Long's coming back from Tommy John. If he's anything like Mize.
Yeah, Mize
has been great.
And hardly anyone's talking about that. He's been ridiculous. His splitter is as gross as it was at Auburn.
Well, the biggest thing is that he's throwing strikes now, man. That was always the issue with him pre-Tommy John, was he wasn't throwing enough strikes to set up the chase of his splitter. Now he has a fastball where he can put it in the zone and they're going to whiff at it. So now they're going to chase his splitter. So, now Mize is good. So, great.
Olsen's still gross. He just doesn't get any run support. And, like, we didn't even talk about it yet. Tarik Skubal is probably the best pitcher on planet Earth. He is the best Tigers pitcher since probably 2013 Scherzer. And he's probably on pace to be better than 2013 Scherzer. Yeah.
I just love his attitude on the mound.
0.74 whip
bulldog
in 6 starts.
God.
Just no base runners.
Dude, he's like not walking. He's not walking people either. He's just pumping in the strike zone. Hit me.
What's he got? He's got like a 4% walk rate and a 32% K rate.
My favorite pitch of the season. Well, there's a couple, and that's just how telling Skubal. Like I literally can just like remember these pitches. First, the sinker that he threw to Adolis, that just like, or no, sorry, not Adolis, to Randy Arozarena.
Yeah.
That like literally just completely folded him on the inside half. That was hilarious. But then the challenge like, I don't know if it was a cut or what, but he threw like just total paint, like 99 low and inside to Bobby Witt into strikeout looking. That was an epic pitch. Like, just total FU, just you can't hit this, boom.
Was it that one, or was it a swinging strikeout on Bobby Witt where he nodded at him after he started feeling himself?
Yeah. I just know I probably closed. I knew it was a strikeout anyway. Like when I saw a fastball on that count, I was like, oh, he's done.
Skubal is as close to unhittable as there is in the league right now. I mean, literally an 0.74 whip. Nobody gets on base. Like, I think it's Tanner Houck is also having a really good season for Boston, and his whip is like an 0.9. Like, people don't realize that 0.2 decimal points in whip, it means Houck has given up 10 more hits than Skubal this year. Yeah, Skubal,
big difference.
Nobody barrels him. Nobody even really gets bat on his pitches, and if they do, it's just like a tiny little grounder. I don't know. If he stays healthy, he's probably going to win a Cy Young, which is ridiculous.
9th round draft pick, baby. Good job, Al.
Hey.
You got that one, baby.
Hey. Everyone in this rotation right now, except for Flaherty and Maeda, were Al Avila guys, so... Yep. He got Reese Olson for...
Where credits due.
He got Reese Olson for 2 months at Daniel Norris at a 6 ERA.
Yeah, he did. And he got... SGL really hasn't proven much, but I believe in him, and you got him for half season of Fulmer, too.
Yeah, and Fulmer wasn't good in Minnesota either, so...
Yeah.
He gave out bad relief pitchers and got young starters. Shout out to a small shout out to Al Avila for that one.
Small, very, very small
We look
shout
about.
out
I
to him.
mean, he drafted Riley Green, so hey.
Yeah, there
Speaking
you go.
speaking of Riley Green, All Star, um, one of the best young outfielders in baseball. I think he's still top five in F4 right now. Up there with like, I mean, he's behind Soto because I don't know if you've seen Juan Soto's numbers, but oh my god,
Yeah,
uh,
he's being Soto, so
yeah, like supercharged Soto.
witness greatness.
But like Riley Green's F4 is there with like Bobby Witt right now. Um,
Hmm. Which is
he's
fantastic. That's so good to see, man. Like, because we knew, like, watching Bobby Witt from afar, I don't like the Royals, but I felt kind of good for him too. I was just
I
like,
love
good for
Bobby
you
Witt.
guys. Like, you found a superstar. Yeah, he's so cool. But it just feels nice for us to kind of find our own, like, young star too.
Yeah,
And we all believed in Riley, but the fact that he's actually doing it now and it looks believable, it seems sustainable. It's
he's
just a really
walking at a
satisfying thing.
20% clip. I would have never guessed in a million years that he'd be like kind of a three true outcomes guy.
Yeah,
Like
I
he
know. He hits the
walks, he
ball
strikes
so
out,
well the
or
other
he
way, but
murders the ball and it's a home run. Like he doesn't hit like wall scraper home runs. Those things go 490 feet or whatever the hell. He
yeah.
I can't say enough good things about Riley Green. It's nice to have like a developmental win for the Tigers because at the time a lot of people I know thought that they should have went with a more ready prospect like JJ Bleday. You compare the two of their careers, it is not a
Days on
contest.
the A's, I think.
Yeah,
Well,
and
Bulliday actually beat us earlier in the season with a 3-run home run, I think. So
good for him. He's not Riley Green.
yeah,
He's not going to the All Star game.
fair.
I mean, when I was looking at like, oh, could Riley actually be an All Star? And then I looked at like the outfielders in the AL right now. Some fan base is going to be very aggrieved when they make the AL All Star picks because it's like like Colton
Yeah,
Cowser, Tyler O'Neill, Stephen Kwan, Riley Green, Kyle
yeah,
Tucker, Adolis, like. All these players are putting up ridiculous seasons, and not many of them have been better than Riley Green, if any. Juan Soto,
yeah.
probably the only one.
I think this is funny. So on Fangraphs, he has a 1.4 F4 right now. The Steamer projection had him at 2.9 for the full season. So he's halfway to his Steamer projection
He's looking at like five
in
or six right now,
through April. Yeah,
and his glove grades out
it's
amazingly in left field.
yeah, and I think that's a big part of why he's. I don't think Steamer had him as this good of a defender in left. So,
Yeah, he's
or
like
they were keeping him in
the
center for that
top of the
projection.
top
I don't
corner
know.
outfield defenders in the league. Like if Mookie was still
Hmm.
playing corner outfield, it would be like Riley and Mookie, in as far as
Yeah,
glove.
it's just crazy to think about. So
Yeah,
now we need Colt to figure it out and
I'm
to
still a
become like
I'm
our
still a
like second good hitter.
I'm still a firm
Yeah,
Colt Keith believer. Mark Canna's been
I am
better
too.
than I expected Mark Canna to be good. He's been great.
Hmm.
You know, players in their 30s don't usually hold up this kind of pace if they haven't been that player for their
Yeah.
entire career, but still, he takes the best at bats on the team by a country mile. He
Hmm.
takes very professional ABs. I think maybe that's one of the things that has kind of like rubbed off on Riley. Um,
Yeah. Well,
and
right. Yeah, Riley's controlling the strike zone better than anyone right now.
and
It's
when he explained his
insane to
philosophy, it's
watch.
just like he's not afraid. He strikes out looking a lot of the time on bad calls, but he's not afraid to take a close pitch because then
Yeah.
if a pitcher feels he needs to pitch Riley in the zone, he's going to pay for it. You can't
Yeah.
pitch Riley in the zone right now. It leaves the yard.
It has been such an honor to watch early season Riley Green this year.
Riley
It's so
Green
fun.
also 3 games in the Bronx with the short porch.
Yeah, and we have a ton
Especially
of left. Like Kerry Carpenter, now is your time to get hot again. Like we got a lot of
tonight's
guys.
game against Marcus Stroman. Stroman's really not afraid to challenge anybody in the zone. So
Hmm.
that could be the kind of thing that you watch out for is will he throw Riley Green something hittable in the zone? And I bet if he does, he regrets it shortly after. That's just the type of confidence I have in Riley Green right now. Um,
Yeah.
so speaking of the upcoming schedule, there was people like, oh, they had a soft schedule to start and they got off to a good start. Then people said, okay, well they have to prove it. They have this stretch against Minnesota, Texas, Minnesota, and Tampa, and they had a winning record in that stretch. Tampa might not be very good. They got swept by the White Sox. Uh, um, but Minnesota right now is on a 10-game win streak because they played the White Sox 7 times and the Angels 3. But um, what I'm looking at is right now, if there was ever a time to like prove how good of a team you actually are, you have 3 in the Bronx and you have 3 in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Win
Like,
3 of those, and I'm perfectly fine.
yeah. Well, yeah, right. Like if we can skirt out of this a game below 500 or 500, like we're fine.
What if
But
they win 4 of them?
if you right, like if you do go a game above 500, then that's kind of a statement. Like, we're here to play. Like,
Yeah.
so, well, this will be a fun upcoming week or so of Tigers baseball.
This series with the Yankees is it's going to be telling in a lot of ways. I was looking at the pitching matchups. We don't, obviously Garrett Cole's out hurt, but like it's Olsen versus Stroman tonight, and then it's Mize versus Clark Schmidt, and then it's Skubal versus Nestor Cortez. Like, you could win 2 of those games.
Yeah.
If you find offense, and I was looking at it and it's like, okay, Marcus Stroman, his numbers are actually comparable to Reese Olson's, which says a lot about Reese Olson right now. And then Clark Schmidt and Casey Mize, their numbers are comparable, and Skubal blows Cortez out of the water, but it's like,
Yeah.
when you think about, it's not like the Tigers pitching staff is good for where the Tigers have been. It is good for like any team in baseball.
The league.
Do they maybe have the best pitching staff other than the Phillies right now?
I guess I haven't looked at it, but I think in a lot of categories they're either 1, 2, or 3. So
Yeah.
maybe if you combine starters and bullpen, like you could make an argument. But yeah, Phillies are hard to beat if their bullpen's right.
Ranger Suarez has like a 0.3 ER. Like, he's ridiculous right now. Turnbull got bumped out of the rotation, even though he has like a 1.3 ERA.
Absurd. That's absurd.
Yeah, I don't want to look around the league too much, especially when every time I look at the AL Central, I just get mad that all these teams are winning.
Yeah, I know.
I thought like, the Royals will cool off now that we beat them in a series. No, they just went and beat Toronto again.
Yeah. That's been the funniest part. It's like, no way these like the people that were hyping up the Royals are actually like getting some steam behind them. Like, dang it.
Yeah, we'll see. That's a team that I don't believe in their depth much, so
Yeah.
we'll see as the season goes along.
Pitching, like, I'm surprised if pitching has held up as well as it has.
Seth Lugo's been ridiculous.
Yeah.
And Reagans is Cole Reagans. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as the rest of the Tigers season goes, I still no, I don't think Cleveland is as good as they have been, and I think they are too injured to maintain this kind of pace. But I also think Minnesota's probably better than they have been, even with the 10-game winning streak. I don't know what to make of the Royals. I still don't think the Tigers make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
But with every day, it becomes more possible. As we see how bad the Blue Jays are, as we see that I think the Astros are actually bad.
Yeah, I mean, the AL West has been...
Texas is having a tough time.
These are like...
Seattle's in first place in the AL West, and their offense is worse than ours.
Yeah.
Legitimately, it is worse than ours.
Watch. If they don't steal a wild card, then that would be very helpful.
That's what I'm saying. All these teams that you would think like, well, the Tigers won't be better than them. Right now, they are. Mm. And at least with the Astros, you think, oh, they'd probably turn it around. The more I watch them, the more I think they don't. They look awful.
Yeah.
And then, like, if the Tigers were to steal a wild card, that is such like a step above even where I really hoped they would be this year. I thought like, 85 wins, missed the playoffs. It's a good step.
Yeah.
If they're in a wild card series this year, that's like such a win for the organization.
Oh yeah, massive win. Because I was even lower. I think I said like 82, 83.
I think I had 84.
Maybe? Okay, yeah, I think I was either like right at 500 or just above 500, and I would have been happy with that. But yeah, man, if they're challenging for a wild card, that would be a huge win for Scott Harris and the entire org.
Yeah, I was especially harsh on Scott Harris. Like, his first offseason, I didn't care for a lot of what was going on and, like, extending the rebuild, blah, blah, blah. It's getting hard to argue with the results. I mean, like, this is a team that has embraced all the philosophies he talked about, dominating the strike zone, blah, blah, blah. Their walk rate's gone up, but that's really not just walking. That's like what the Orioles preach, which is like only swing at the ones you can do damage on. The Tigers are getting better about that, except for Torkelson. But but it's like it's. I want to compare it to the Marlins, who made the playoffs last year, probably shouldn't have, and now are, I think, just a little better than the White Sox right now, because they had a couple injuries. A couple injuries would not sink the Tigers right now, unless it's like Riley Green and Scooble at the same time.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about the triple. That's why I love talking about the minor leagues, is because the minor leagues are exciting for us right now. You got like Bly Madris in AAA, and I would not be surprised at all if he came up and gave us like a solid week or two. Like if somehow we needed to get down to him,
Yeah.
But that's like there's like 3 outfielders ahead of him, and he would probably be a fine MLB player.
Yeah,
that mid stretch.
And I mean, like he's not like you would go to Akil Baddoo first if you wanted an outfielder from down there. You might go to Justin Henry Malloy. Like there's so many options, and that's the thing is that the Tigers aren't building a team; they're building an organization right now. Which there's a strong difference. The Tigers, especially under Dombrowski, did not have an organization. They had a team. They had a great team. They did not have a great organization. Right now, they're on the verge. I think Fangraphs had them as like the 6th ranked farm system before the season. And I think
we were top 5 for a couple different publications too.
Yeah, I think one of them had them like 2nd.
Yeah, that's what I think, like Baseball America or something, in terms of like the future value of our farm. I think we were 2nd on one of them, but yeah, like that's telling.
I think Baseball America had like 6 Tigers in the top 100. They counted like Parker Meadows, but what I think about where the Tigers are at right now is that they are set up for the future better than they have been my entire life as a Tigers fan, probably. Sure. And that goes beyond the major leagues to the minor league level, where you look at a team like Toledo is pretty stacked with players that could come up and play in the major leagues. But even you look at Lakeland's roster right now with Max Clark, Kevin McGonigal, Josue Briseño. Those are 3 guys that are probably top 100 guys, maybe by the end of the year. I know Clark already is. Yeah. But like if McGonigal hits at this pace, while playing shortstop, he's going to end up in the top 100.
Well, and McGonigal was top 100 for one of them. One of the publications already. And Briseño is one of the most hyped prospects since the breakout game.
He's really fun.
He's definitely pushing. Yeah.
Yeah. So and that's just Lakeland. Right, like those guys are going to be in Grand Rapids probably by July.
Right. Like we're in between waves, I think. Right now, West Michigan and Erie are a little light in actual prospect talent, especially on the offensive side. But between the wave you have in Toledo, with a bunch of guys just knocking on the door, and then like the core down in Lakeland, and even the guys in the complex league that will soon be pushing into Lakeland, there's going to be some fun baseball coming through the ranks in the minor leagues. So.
Even Christian Santana is starting to get hot again, which don't give me that kind of hope. He was... I hope nobody remembers when he was my number 1 Tigers prospect 2 years ago.
Oh, man.
But, like...
Campos.
Yeah. I still want to believe. Roberto Campos is still, like, 20, so...
Yeah, I know.
He's still a baby.
It's baffling to me that he can't hit a home run, but like you said, he's 20. He is 20.
Yeah. So another thing I wanted to talk about, I want to get a little specific about some of the prospects that maybe aren't, that aren't like big names or aren't threats to make it to the major leagues like imminently, but have shown something that maybe we didn't expect this year. And obviously the first name is going to be Jaden Ham. Oh my God. I think he's the only pitcher in baseball across any of the levels that has 30 or more strikeouts and less than 3 walks.
Yeah. I know, this K per 9 and walks per 9, when you just look at it, is baffling. He's at .44 walks per 9.
Yeah. He's just firing straight. He's probably not long for A-ball. I would assume he's in Erie sooner than later.
Yeah. Which I'm in
Because
Grand Rapids, so I need to get out to one of his starts soon because I'm gonna miss him.
yeah, he probably won't be there very long. It's just like if
Yeah,
hitters can't hit, if you're peppering the zone like that and nobody at your level can hit it, you might as well bump him up and see if the double A guys can hit what he's throwing because the single A guys can't.
yeah.
He's
Well, here's the
been
Harris
insane.
pick, fifth rounder. Yeah,
It's
and
and
you got
it
a handful
honestly
of
might
guys in
be
the
a
comp
Fetter
line.
pick. It might be a Fetter pick.
Yeah,
I'm not super familiar with what Ham throws, but if he's like a electric fastball dynamic slider guy, then that's a classic Chris Fetter. I don't really know what his arsenal
well,
is.
what I know from Tiger's minor league report is that his fastball is kind of low velo. It's like 90, it's like low 90s, but it
Okay.
has like 20 inches of vertical
Well,
break
there
on
you
it.
go.
So it's just no one can touch it.
That's a Robin Lund guy
Which
then,
is
probably.
yeah, like and I think he has a serviceable, like a pretty solid either slider or curveball, I think. But I just know the basis of his arsenal is just he has a like, unicorn fastball
Well,
that
if you
doesn't even have velo either. So it's like Joe Ryan
yeah,
almost
well, if your fastball is your best
without the
pitch,
splitter.
you can
But
always work with that, and that also makes you think he would stick as a starter if his best pitch is his
yeah,
fastball.
for sure.
Yeah. Um, I think he just won
Yeah. So
Midwest League Player of the Month. He's absurd, probably in Erie sooner rather than later. Um, Another player who we've been waiting for a breakout from, and maybe it's finally happening, would be Gage Workman in Erie.
dude, I love Gage Workman.
He's kind of like the
Love me
the
some Gage
Parker
Workman. Always have.
Meadows proto, like so
Yeah.
toolsy, and it's just like, why can't you get it together
Yeah.
for a
Well,
season?
yeah, craziest part about him when I was looking at his page, I didn't realize he was still only 24. Like I would have guessed he was like 26 by now, but the fact that he's only 24, like I don't know, man, there might be some major league opportunity there
I
if
think
he
so.
can if he like he's hitting his way up to AAA here soon. And I mean, he's hitting in AAA. He's a legitimate shortstop. Helio just said to me on Twitter the other day, like he thinks he can stick at short. He's 6'4". He has a rifle of an arm. I've watched him in West Michigan play short a number of times in the past, and he looks fine to me. So, he's fast, he's big, he has pop, and he's hitting. He went 0 for 5 last night, so it dropped. He was hitting 300. Now he's hitting like 284 or whatever. But
Still,
he dropped his K rate. He's only striking out 24.7% of the time, and he's walking at 13%. So it's improvement. It's improvement. It's not a
yeah.
sure thing, but it's improvement.
He was when he was drafted. It was like a tools pick. Like, oh well, he's a freak.
Yeah.
He's freakishly athletic, and now we have to see if we can teach him how to play baseball. It took a while. He didn't take to it very fast. But if this is able to, like, if he was to come up to Toledo, and you'd think he would have an opportunity with injuries to Kreidler and Eddie Leonard, you'd think he would probably get an opportunity to play shortstop in Toledo. And if that goes well, like, I almost feel like they've been looking for a reason to cut Zach McKinstry, and they really can't because he's the backup shortstop right now.
Yeah.
If Workman
That's
is
really the toughest
anything,
part.
like, he could be in the
Well,
majors.
yeah, because like you said, like there's so many injuries in Toledo right now. The only thing stopping him is Andrew Navigato, and I actually kind of like Andrew Navigato, and he's
Yeah.
kind of hitting in Toledo right now.
Depth
But
guy.
yeah, I mean that's not a lot. Yeah, it's not a lot holding back Gage from AAA.
No.
But what's interesting is Virgilio was talking about how Gage actually cut out his leg kick, because he's always been like a big leg kick guy. So he's gotten more of a toe tap now, and that's really just allowed him to. He has, he's always had a decent bat. He's had times where he's hit high averages or semi-high averages. I mean, he's hitting 284 now, and he's walking a ton, and he has some pop.
13% walk
So
rate is really impressive for Gage Workman
yeah,
because that was not something
and
that
at
was
a
part of the
good
package.
yeah, a good defensive shortstop that has a few like decent offensive things that could pop a little bit. Like that's intriguing. So we'll see. Definitely a name to keep an eye on.
Yeah. On the other side of the coin, there's
Steals a few
been
backs.
That's true. He's fast. Like
Yeah.
that's where I think he reminds me of Parker Meadows. Is just like the frame and the speed that don't look like they should go together, but they do. Um,
Yeah.
and then
Last thing about him, I think the just last thing, the thing that'll hold him back is that K rate. Um,
24 is not
it's
offensive though.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing. So last year in Double A, he was striking out almost 40%.
Yeah,
So him getting down to 25 is still great, but he's always been a high K rate guy, even in the low minors.
yeah.
So that makes me feel like, who knows, maybe he reverts a little bit, and if that gets up to 30%, then it gets touchy.
That's a
Like,
tough call up.
so yeah, exactly. It's just that is the thing that like that'll make or break his prospect status. Truly, is if he can keep that K rate manageable, then he actually has a shot. But we'll
Yeah,
see.
I agree. There's been a couple prospects that maybe we had higher expectations for that haven't lived up to them so far. Number one for me, I didn't put him. I didn't like highlight him at any point this offseason, and then it's gonna be Wilmer Flores. But then I found out that he was pumping 99 again because he had that velo drop
Yeah.
last season. The velo came back up. He can't command anything. He's walking everybody. It's not good. I think
Mhm.
I think he's walked at least one batter in every outing so far, and I think they've been using him out of the pen if I remember correctly.
Yes,
So
he's
that's
kind of like
bad.
almost. Yeah, if I remember correctly, I think he's like been a multi-inning reliever for them,
Yeah,
and 8.31 walks per nine. Not great.
bad, very bad.
Not great.
Not against major league hitters either. That's bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And only 6.75 Ks per nine too. That's a drop from 9.115 last year.
and the K's have
Uh,
always been his thing.
right.
I mean, he
So
was in top 100 lists not that long ago. Uh,
yeah,
Dynamic stuff. It's just if you can't control it, it doesn't mean anything. That's the difference between like a pitcher having great stuff and people say like, oh, Alex Lang has no control. It's like okay, but he throws maybe the best pitch in Major League Baseball. So he just needs to get it near the zone. It doesn't have to. He doesn't have to throw. I mean, he's got like a 17% walk rate and an 0.75 ERA.
yeah. So
Flores
Flores is
can't
still only
survive like
23.
that.
So
Yeah,
yeah, he's still only 23 though, and like you said, like his velo just ticked back up this season. So maybe they probably made some pretty significant mechanical adjustments. Maybe the lead leg block or something like that, and is throwing him off. We'll see. We'll see. It's been 17 innings.
yeah.
17 innings. We'll see as the sample gets larger, but not great to start for sure.
Another player who we thought we needed to see a lot out of in Toledo and haven't so far is Jace Young. They had him playing second base the other night. Maybe not a great sign because you would think they have every reason to park him at third. Um, the bat hasn't really been there yet, which I'm not that concerned about necessarily the bat. But if his glove can't keep him at third, I don't know what his future is on the Tigers.
Yeah, he went 0 for 5 last night. But according to Fangraphs, his WRC plus is still 111 for AAA. So he hasn't. He's keeping his head above water, which we love to see.
I
Even
think
if
I
he is
think the other
struggling,
night he
but
got his first hit in a week. I think I saw on Tigers minor league
okay,
report. So he's slumped pretty hard, but
yeah, yeah. He has a 30% K percentage, which again, like that's usually one of the main things that'll make or break a prospect profile. Is you can't whiff 40% of the time
you,
in the majors.
your
And
K
if you're
rate
paying
your K
30%
rate
of
doesn't
the
get
time,
lower when you go from AAA to
no,
majors.
it,
It
it
goes
does
up
not.
no matter
So
how low it is.
right. So that's just something he's going to figure out. He's walking 16% of the time, so that's amazing. But you can't. That 30 is going to jump up to 35 or 40 at the major leagues. So he's got to figure that out. But if this is what his bad is, 111 WRC plus in AAA, I think we'll take it for now. But to your point, he's got to stick at third. If he's not sticking at third, I don't know.
We don't need a second baseman. We have one locked up for 6 years.
Right.
We
Yeah.
Keith
So
isn't going to move to third, so somebody has to.
yeah, yeah.
Um, there have been more encouraging signs in the minors than like discouraging. I mean, we touched on the Lakeland guys; they've all been Clark, after a
Mm.
week of everyone panicking, is crushing the ball, and Wyatt
Yep.
Langford still doesn't have an out of the park home run. Um, he got one inside the Parker, which
Wait,
is
he has an
keeping.
inside the park home
Yes,
run?
yes, he hit an
Oh, I
inside the
didn't even
Parker.
know that. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
he hasn't left the yard yet. He's been very bad. His numbers are ugly. Like, I
He
think
looked terrible in ours in our
I think
series.
his counting stats are a little better than Keith's, but his expecteds are worse. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure. Um,
Interesting.
and that's not to dump on Wyatt Langford, who's going to be a very good MLB
Yeah.
hitter. It's that
Yeah.
what would Wyatt Langford be doing for the Tigers lineup right now? Nothing. So everyone that whined and cried that Max Clark had a bad 23 at bats in Lakeland, and now are not talking about him now that his OPS is higher than Josue Perseño's. Um,
Right.
I I don't know. I think for the future of this team, it's a weird situation where there's not a lot of players that it's like, oh, they should be in the majors right now. Like last year, we thought that
Mm.
about Keith. We thought that about Meadows. For a period, we thought that about Malloy. Right now, I don't think there's
Yeah.
anyone where it's like, oh, get them in the lineup.
Yeah. You
But
can make a case for Malloy, but his defense is just so bad.
where do you
So,
play him?
right.
You're taking
Yeah.
Carey out of the lineup to DH Malloy? I'm not.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Maybe if Canna or Carey gets hurt, maybe that's when Malloy comes up.
and I think
But
at this point, it
we'll
might
see.
be Badu first because his AAA numbers
Yeah,
are
and
insane
that's
right now.
yeah, that's fair.
And then, like, you look at some of the players that we didn't even talk about, like Jackson Jobe. I mean, he just got hurt. It's a hamstring strain, but
Yeah.
he's been not as good as he was last year. He's walking a few more batters. Still been essentially unhittable.
Still been elite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Jackson Jobe.
Well, speaking of CSW, Lyle Lockhart for the Seawolves is actually was, I guess when I saw this a couple days ago, was first in Double-A for CSW, and Job was 2.
Yeah,
And I forget what the percentages was, but I know they were 1 and 2. So, I mean, that's Job. That's a good stat for Job, and it's interesting for Lyle Lockhart. We'll
it's
see if he
a
is,
pitching
but
factory. Like, is there a pitcher
yeah,
in this organization that you can't look at and be like, that might be a guy? Like Troy Melton is still in the org.
right,
Uh,
yeah,
I mean, even if you look at like some of the relievers, Brant Herter, I think he got off to a tough start, but still, like there's arms
yeah,
all over this organization that you think like, oh, maybe in a year or two that guy's probably a major league pitcher. Job, obviously the best of
yeah.
them, but Jaden Ham, we talked about, like, I don't know,
Well,
Kiter
and
Montero. We
the
didn't even
comp.
say Kiter Montero.
Oh my gosh, didn't even mention him. He's a sub 2 ERA in AAA right now.
Yeah,
So yeah,
Ty
Kiter
Madden just
definitely
made his
keep an
first
eye on.
AAA start. It was bad, very bad, but
He's there.
it was his worst professional start by far. It was his first time stepping up to AAA. He'll get better. Um,
And to be fair, apparently the ball was flying that game. There was like 20 runs scored.
yeah,
So
Badu hit
Badu
two
hit 2 home
homers.
runs.
Yeah,
So
I think Malloy had a homer or like a triple or something. Yeah.
yep, yep.
Um, here's what I
And
can
last
say.
thing about the pitching too, uh, in the complex league, you got Blake Dickerson, you got Wilson, and you have oh, what's his name? Oh, man, the like the 6th round pick. I won't be able to remember his name. Jank Diaz.
Oh
You
yeah,
got
that's how you pronounce that.
all 3 of those guys. All 3 of those guys in the complex league that'll be in Lakeland either later this season or next year. All 18-year-olds with just wicked stuff.
And
Wicked
don't they have the
profiles.
Nicaraguan kid that struck out Juan Soto in the WBC in the complex league?
Yes, I haven't heard. Yeah, he must be. In the
I think they
complex. I haven't
just
heard
assigned
anything about
him.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
he struck out. It was
So
like Soto, and I think he struck out the side in a WBC game. He's like 20 years old,
Yeah,
and the Tigers signed him right away.
yeah. So we got arms. That is for sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, I think the amount of things that could derail the Tigers from being an 80 to 85 win team is there's not that many things. It would take like a
Yep.
serious Scooble injury and a serious Riley Green injury, I think.
Yeah.
I think they put themselves in a position where they have more depth, certainly than they've ever had, but like compare them to the Royals' depth, where maybe they don't have the top end talent that the Royals have, but it's arguable if you think like Green and Witt are comparable and Scooble and Reagans are comparable. But like if Bobby Witt gets hurt, the Royals are done. It's over. The season is over.
Right.
If Riley Green gets injured, maybe Akil Baddoo pops an 8 OPS for 2 weeks. And you can live with it, or Mark Canha gets hot, or Kerry Carpenter gets hot. The Royals don't have players like that right now.
Yeah.
So I think when you compare them not to the best teams in the league, we're not comparing the Tigers to the Braves, we're not comparing them to the Dodgers, although some of the advanced stats would compare them to the Dodgers, allegedly. When you think about the Tigers in the context of like, well, the other teams in their range would be like the Marlins, who were a playoff team last year, the Diamondbacks, the Royals, the Twins, probably. I think they're set up a lot better than any of those teams. Like we're seeing it with the Diamondbacks right now, they can't hit because Corbin Carroll's in a slump, and they can't hit at all.
Yeah. His shoulder's messed up. He has no pop.
Yeah, well, and it's just murdered their
develops.
lineup. They don't score runs.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, but that's the thing though. One Riley Green injury, our offense is just like that. You know.
I don't agree. Mark Canha's got a 950 OPS right now. Kerry Carpenter is gonna. I mean, he's got like a 760, but he should be better than that.
Yeah, I mean I think there's definitely an argument to say that like offense is a very like catalyst driven thing, like a momentum thing in baseball, and
Yeah.
so when you have a guy like Riley Green leading off and just hitting nukes and walking so much, like that definitely has an effect on the guys behind him. So if he goes down, I would expect our offense to slow down significantly, but like to your point, maybe not. There's definitely the next guy up mentality on this team, clearly. So
And the team approach right now, at least, is miles beyond where it has been the last 2 years, especially early in the season.
Sure.
Like last summer, the offense picked up for a couple weeks or like a month. Right now, out of the gate, they're an okay offense, which, as sad as it sounds, is a pretty major step up.
We'll take it.
A lot could change this week.
Or
They could get swept by the Yankees and the Guardians back to back, and then they're back under 500. But right now, I don't expect that. I don't expect that to happen.
Yeah, no, that would be awful. Holy cow! I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I'm trying not to be overly positive about the Tigers, but you think like they've only played the White Sox for one series so far. Like, I think there's some good games ahead of this team. Especially as I think regression for a player like Canha would balance itself out with positive regression for Colt Keith, Jake Rogers, hopefully Torque, and hopefully Meadows. I think everything balances itself out, and this lineup stays around 20th or 19th in the league.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Is there anything else you wanted to touch on? Maybe any under the radar performances so far this year? Any minor leaguers? Anything you're looking forward this season?
Yeah, I was going to shout out Howie Lee, the guy we got for Lorenzen last year. He's been in Double-A, and he's really been like the main name, I guess, on offense in Double-A to pay attention to. He's still only 21 years old. And I think he's slowed down a little. He got off to a really hot start, but still at 108 WRC plus, and he's walking 11% of the time, only striking out 22% of the time in his Double-A debut. So
yeah,
it's an interesting doing that at 21 years old.
21 is young for Double-A.
Oh yeah. So if he's up in AAA next year as a 22-year-old, that's pretty legit. So he's just a name to keep an eye on, see how he develops. I watched him for a handful of games in West Michigan last season at the end. He's fun, man. He's like, he kind of plays like hard nosed. He's really emotional and like intense. And
good defender.
He's fun to watch because he'll stick at second. Like, he's a fine second baseman. I wonder if he can play third. But yeah, everything I saw from him at second, he was fine. I didn't notice anything like great or too bad. So we'll see. But I know it's like we have so many second basemen in this system.
Everyone's a second baseman.
Yeah, can we get some like left side of the infield, please? But
Yeah,
hopefully McGonagall can stick there.
I believe in him, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing is like, I don't know how many people that have started really paying attention to the Tigers this year were in the depths when it was really bad in the farm system, but the Tigers were the worst run farm in baseball for 15
Yeah,
years. And part of that, when it was Dombrowski, that was by design. You can look at the Phillies now. I mean, they have Aiden Miller, but Dombrowski is not a farm guy. His prospects to
yeah,
Dave Dombrowski are a means to acquire major league talent. So
right.
it was by design that the Tigers didn't really have any good prospects under Dombrowski. Under Alavila, it was incompetence. um,
Couldn't develop anyone.
right. And under Scott
I
Harris,
think he was fine at drafting, but
well, I shouldn't say under Scott Harris because Ryan Garco was hired pre-Harris, and so was
yeah,
Nieves and Rebus. But the thing that they have done is taken some of these Alavila prospects that weren't living up to their whatever pedigree they had and turning them into major leaguers. Or at least like
yeah,
guys that you could see carving out a major league career, like Wenzel Perez. That Wenzel Perez is the first international prospect the Tigers have had that, like, first off made it to the majors. Second off, didn't suck. In like
Steve Moya.
Moya did
Steven
suck.
Moya sucked.
He
So
did
I think
suck.
so.
I couldn't name the other one. I don't know. Like Willie Castro, maybe.
Paredes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we didn't even develop Paredes. We traded for him. So
Right.
yeah,
It's like Wenzel Perez
that's
is the first one in
crazy.
forever, which has been like one of the biggest knocks on the Tigers as an organization. Was their
Yeah,
international development and signings have been terrible.
yeah. Well, I think what the most damning part about just the contrast between how our organization has been, how Lee is our 14th ranked prospect right now, and if we had him back with Dombrowski, he would have easily been top three. Like a 21-year-old hitting in Double A
Leads
would have
double A
been
and
like,
doubles.
oh, like oh, there you go. Well,
Yeah.
it would have been like, okay, we're getting some piece for him at the trade deadline.
Or
Like,
whatever
but
league
no,
in
he's
double A Erie plays in, he leads that in doubles. I shouldn't say all. I'm sure one of the Orioles guys
yeah.
has 500 doubles already.
But I mean, Jose Briseño, this will give change, but he's at 18. Until Perez is at 20.
Briseño might be
Like,
in the league's top 100 by the end of the year.
right,
He's what is it?
right.
He's like
Like
6'4"
Dickerson.
at 18 years old, and everything he hits goes 100. I think at one point this year his average exit velo was 106. Legitimately, that
He's
was like
cooled
a
down a
week or two
little
into the
bit.
year.
Yeah, he's cooled down a little bit, but he's still like you said, he's still 18,
He's a child.
and yeah, he's a child, and he is in the ball hard. So, and he has a great approach.
Yeah,
That's probably the most important thing for all these young guys
well,
down
his
there. Is
strikeout
like,
rate
is
was
their
like
approach
sub
good?
10, wasn't it? I think it might.
Yeah,
It's like
keep.
I think it's
Let's
still
check
like
on that 'cause
11 or something. It's very low for a player his age against professional players.
yeah, it's up to 14.7,
That's
but
still really low.
that's still not. Yeah, for an 18-year-old in A ball, like that's
And
nothing.
his walk rate's high, isn't it?
So, yep, almost 13%.
If you're walking as much as you're striking out at 18 or 19 years old, whatever he is now, you're good.
And let's be honest, I in A ball the pitching is so bad, it's so erratic that sometimes you just strike out because it's like you don't know what's coming, man. Like
Yeah.
a guy might be throwing all over the zone and then just suddenly throws one down the middle and you're just like what on earth?
Yeah.
So
And the umpiring's bad too.
like those right. So like those walk rates and those K rates, it's so hard to trust at those low levels.
But not
what you
chasing
can
is one of
trust
the
is
things
that
you look for.
right. Yeah. Well, the thing you can trust is like the chase rate, the zone contact, and the 133 WRC plus.
I think I
That
saw.
plays.
I don't want to misquote this tweet, or this stat, but I believe Max Clark's in zone whiff rate is like 8%. Like if he swings at something
Yeah,
in
I
the
saw
zone, he
that.
crushes. He does not miss the ball.
Yeah, I saw that. Briseño was up there too.
Yeah.
And I would assume McGonagall definitely doesn't have the sample, but he's probably above both of them
Probably.
because
He doesn't miss at
he
anything.
looks
Kevin
he
McGonigal is
won't be in Lakeland long.
he's one of the most
He won't be in
advanced
Lakeland long.
teenage hitters I've definitely the most advanced teenage hitter I've seen with the Tigers. Like Riley Green needed work. McGonigal at the plate looks like he could probably hit double A pitching.
Dude, yeah, you watch him for 5 at bats, you're like, this kid's 18.
Yeah.
What? He looks so good up at the plate.
I don't think he'll ever be a power guy, but you
using
could
all field.
but you could see like a doubles guy, like a
Dude, in 6 games, 23 plate appearances, so
small
not
sample.
even close to relevant sample. Walking 22% of the time, striking out less than 9% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on.
It's a good
What
player,
are we
man.
doing here? 179 WRC plus.
Yeah, I it's obviously you can't call any like baseball draft decision good or bad until years down the line. But not taking Langford so you could take Clark and McGonigal with your slot money,
Might
we'll
work
see.
out.
We'll see. I still would have taken Langford,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
Yeah. And the thing too about small samples with McGonagall is that he had a small sample last year too. He only played 12 games, but the fact that last year he also was only striking out 10% of the time and had a 151 WRC plus, like he's a good hitter. You
And
know?
it
Like,
fits the
yes,
draft
these are small
profile
samples,
too.
but
It fits the draft profile too, which was like hit tool number one. Everything else comes later.
yeah, he hit 350 last season in 50 at bats, and then he's hitting 333 right now. So
Yeah, with like
he's
everything's
a good
a
hitter.
lot of it is extra bases. He's like doubles and triples. He's not like a home run guy yet, but maybe as he gets older, because he's still a child, maybe he'll become a
Yeah.
home run guy. We'll see. Um,
Yep.
well, I don't think
Stick
we
it
could
short.
have. Yeah, that's the big thing. Defense. We need players that aren't second basemen in this organization.
Yes. Exactly.
I think we've touched on pretty much every aspect of the Tigers organization at least a little bit. I don't
That was
know.
pretty in depth.
Yeah, I don't know what more we could have got into. I will try to do this again next month. Hopefully, it'll be as nice to talk about as it was for the first month of the season. I don't want to adjust my prediction off of 84 wins yet. I like where I sit with that.
Mm.
Do you think this? You know what? We'll do a hot take. Do you think this is a playoff team?
Yeah. If they're healthy, I do.
I like that.
Like, yeah. I think if they keep this pace up, they'll make some sort of trade at the deadline for whatever we need. Won't be a major trade, I don't think, but if they need a bat, they might go get a bat, and we'll be in the party.
I like that.
Yeah.
Now you got me thinking of
Gotta be
deadline
healthy,
names already. Yeah, gotta be healthy. Riley Green, we need
Gotta be healthy.
we need 140 games out of you, buddy.
Yes.
We need them like I need oxygen to breathe.
So
we-
we shall see.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for once again joining us. We will try to make this a monthly, maybe even do like special episodes, maybe like a deadline thing or like a all-star break kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anytime I can talk minor league baseball with a ball knower, I'm there. Is there anything you would like the people to know to keep up with you, where to follow you before we wrap this up?
Yeah. I mean, I pretty much talk about baseball during baseball season and the Pistons during basketball season on Twitter at Trashmain. If you're listening to this, you've probably seen me on there, so just keep an eye out. But yeah, thanks for having me on. This is always fun. I love just talking ball, talking minor league baseball. I mean, I'm a minor league nerd. I love Tigers Minor League Report. Go follow them.
Yes. Follow
they're doing incredible
Chris,
stuff.
follow Rogelio, follow Tigers ML Report at Tigers ML Report on Twitter. Pretty much the reason I can keep up with any of these prospects is their tweets and their Discord server. So can't recommend them highly enough. All right. Well, hopefully this doesn't all come crashing down within the next week with series losses to the Yankees and Cleveland. But until then, everybody have
We're
a
happy.
yes. Until then, we're doing great. So go Tigers.